My skin looks like it's like juicy and it has that really nice kind of just model finish to it. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new, then welcome to my channel, which is all about educational beauty. Before we move into this video, I just want to say a quick thank you, because on my previous video I mentioned that, sometimes I get a few comments of people saying, you talk too much, and I was trying to explain that this wouldn't be an educational beauty channel if I wasn't talking basically and going through detail with you. And I have had so many of you message me and leave the most amazing comments on my previous video, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you, because your support means the world to me. And for every horrible comment I get 100 comments which are amazing, because most of you are absolutely out of this world. So just wanted to say a quick thank you. Now moving into this video is all about everyday model style makeup. So when you see those models and the skin is just like great and everything's so snatched, and you just think, how on earth am I going to look like that? Well, I'm going to show you how you can create that type of look so that it suits you and you still look like you. So let's move into this video. But before we do, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. And you can also catch me over on Instagram, which a lot of you seem to be there these days, which I'm loving. Now let's head straight into the video. As always, I have no makeup on. We're going to start with skincare. Now, when it comes to creating a model look, such as kind of Kendall Jenner or Hailey Bieber, you've probably noticed like skin is really good. It's just like oozing with perfection. And we're not all perfect. Well, no one's perfect. We are going to be making our skin look as good as it can look with some of these products. So you can go out and either get the same products, they're going to be listed in my description below, or you can get similar products. But I'm going to talk through what you would need and how you will create this whole look. So let's start with skincare. Now, first off, I'm going to start with some eye gel, and I'm using my trusted eye gel, Ulla Henriksen Wrinkle Blur. This is my great kind of like eye cream for use when I'm not, because I usually use my Clarins Total Eye Lift, but if I'm filming, just whatever's in this studio, and this seems, which was more or less every day, I use this. This is very, very good. So I use this if I'm kind of like putting makeup on. So I'm just kind of like patting that into my skin, and I feel like this gives me a really nice, almost like a velvety finish on my eye. So I feel like makeup application is really good on top of this kind of base. So that's kind of like just giving me a really nice hydrated feel there. I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Serum. This serum is great at making your pores look minimized. Just in the long run, it's not necessarily an overnight thing. So I have been using this for I think about a week now, and I tend to keep it on these areas here. I'm not putting it on the perimeter of my face. Yeah, that's just kind of like sunk into my skin. Now we need a good moisturizer, so I'm using the Sunday Riley Eye Ceramide Moisturizing Cream, and I really honestly just need a little bit of this because it's quite hydrating. I'm going to use my Stila Stay All Day 10-in-1 Illuminating Skin Veil. So this is actually in kitten. It gives like a really nice illuminating kind of finish to the skin, and I'm putting this all over. So I don't want like an ultra matte finish to my skin, so I'm actually not going to be using my usual Tarte Shape Tape concealer. I'm going to be using my Hourglass Vanish concealer. I was about to call it Veil, but that's the brush that I use. So I'm going to use my Vanish concealer in Beach. Now you've probably seen me that I usually use my Tarte on my under eyes and my Vanish everywhere else on my face, and some people say, why do I use a different concealer for everywhere else on my face? So the reason I use this one is because it actually isn't as matte, so it really kind of like stays a little bit more creamy on the skin. So that's why I'm going to use this, because it actually gives you amazing coverage, but it does kind of give you that like, I wouldn't say it's not matte, but it's also not dewy. So I'm just gonna cover my eyelids so that I can get a nice clean base, because ultimately this, I can't not apply any concealer there because I'm just not going to get that look, because I've got these like darkness around the eyes. So I do need the concealer, but I just want something that's going to really kind of deliver the coverage but also not look like super matte. Just going to use my Huda Easy Bake, just press that in. Just dusting off the powder with my Real Techniques brush. Let's go in with concealer everywhere else now, wherever I need it. So I applied it in these areas more so to kind of like brighten the area, but the coverage side of it is mainly for my under eyes. Everywhere else I'm not really concerned about the coverage, but I do want that kind of brightness coming through. I'm just always a little bit conscious of like applying a good amount of concealer on my under eyes to cover the darkness, and then if I don't put it on anywhere else, I always feel like it just looks a bit more packed on the under eyes, and everywhere else is quite natural, and then it just seems to like kind of disconnect a little bit for me. So that's why I kind of like apply it in small doses everywhere else to just give some brightness, but also so everything ties in really well. Really small amount, by the way, it's not actually a lot, because I still want my kind of like imperfections to come through. Like I've got a lot of freckles and sunspots around my nose and around this area, and I want them to come through, so I might actually enhance them after as well. Just gonna buff this in. I'm using my sponge, constantly patting, never moving side to side. Now, I'm going to apply some blush first. I'm using a liquid blush. I'm going to use my Rare Beauty Pinch Me blush. And I'm using 2 shades because I really love the kind of brightness of this, but I also like the kind of understated, paler shade of this. So I'm going to kind of mix them together. So we're going to go in with some here. So I actually want this blush to kind of like come round here a little bit. And you know, I like the fact that when you see kind of the models, the makeup generally, they use blush, and it just looks like it's just kind of melted into the skin. So I really like that look. So we're gonna just take this round here. That one was Grace, by the way, and now we're using Bliss, and I'm gonna apply this more around here. So just gonna get a sponge, and I'm gonna just kind of buff that in. Start from this center section here first, because we don't want to move that other brighter color around. This is kind of like a two-tone blush that we're creating. So if you have 2 like shades that work well together, then you can do that, like a much deeper shade on the perimeter of the face and a much paler shade on the center of the face. I'm using a foundation which is kind of, it's a foundation I use when I'm super tanned, so it is a little bit dark for my face at the moment, but I don't mind that, and I'm going to explain why. It actually matches my neck perfectly, but my face is a little bit paler at the moment, so I suppose it's actually quite good. So I'm going to use, this is the Tarte Face Tape Foundation in 47S. I love the colour of this. The colour of this literally is like it's exactly the same colour that I get when I'm tanned, so I absolutely love this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to apply this with a brush. I actually quite like the full coverage, not full coverage, but the coverage that I have, you know, like around the face and especially in the center and the brightness that I have. So I'm going to apply this with a brush around the perimeter of the face, and it's just kind of, I'm going to like gradually take it towards the center, but I don't really want too much of that coming in to the center section of my face, because it just gives that nice dimension to the face. So I've got a little bit on the back of my hand, just like this, and I'm just getting my brush and then patting it into it, making sure that it's spread across the brush evenly. The brush that I'm using is actually the NYX 109 brush, and I'm going to start by applying this on the perimeter of the face. So there's more product on the perimeter, and then it just becomes a little bit lighter as you come in. You've probably seen when I'm applying it, I'm kind of like flicking it. It's like buffing and flicking all at the same time. So whatever's left on the brush now, I'm going to take this everywhere else just so that it all kind of blends in nicely. So do you see how this kind of like gives your face more dimension? We haven't even contoured or anything. All we've done is apply blush. So what I'm going to do with this now is, obviously I can't just walk out like this, because with my skin like this, I need to set it in some way, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to start to see, after a little while, it's just going to look really bad. Because if you've got textured skin, some open pores, then or like obvious pores, what happens is it starts to kind of like settle around the area, and what we want to do is make sure it doesn't, and make sure it still looks good later on in the day. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set my under eyes first, because that is most important for me. I want to make sure I don't have any kind of creasing there. So I'm just going to get some of my powder. Now first thing I'm going to do is make sure there are no creases, so get rid of any excess creasing. And then press this powder in. Just dust away that powder. Now what I'm going to do is get my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, and I'm getting the shade medium. I'm going to get my Fenty 200 brush. Now all I'm doing is just going to go over the areas that I feel I have like quite a bit of texture. This area here usually is fine. I don't need to worry about that, but I do have kind of like existing acne scars, you know, or where my skin is just a little bit kind of, I just feel like it's quite textured there. So I'm gonna just kind of press this in. I'm also gonna press it on the areas that I don't really want any shine. And the only reason I'm getting a brush like this is because it's much smaller than my Real Techniques brush, so I can really get to kind of the areas that I want to get to. Definitely around the nostrils. No one likes shiny nostrils. Right, so I'm being very precise. Just I can see there's certain areas here that I just really don't want that shine, because all it's doing is just enhancing where I've got scarring. Okay, I'm happy with that. I do feel like I want a little bit more color on the nose area here. So what I'm doing is I'm getting my Rare Beauty liquid blush in Bliss. I've got a little bit on the back of my hand there. I'm going to get a stipple brush, so any kind of like dual fiber brush, and it's the tiniest amount, and I'm just kind of like brushing it over my nose a little bit. Now the reason I didn't do that before is because if I put too much and then I went over with foundation, I feel like it's just going to keep layering up. So I'd rather just have however much coverage I want on my face, and then I can go over with a very, very small amount. Because this particular technique that I'm using now, I know that's how it's going to look once I'm done, you know, so it's not, I don't have to set it, I don't have to put any powder, like I don't have to put any foundation on top, so I know that whatever I'm doing is how it's going to look. Now I do want a tiny bit of kind of sculpting, very, very small amount, so because I don't really want to use too much powder on my face, I want to use the Dual Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder, because the color's great, it's great for kind of like sculpting, but I don't know why I'm saying great so much. The best thing is that it doesn't actually look like powder on the skin, so it just melts into the skin. I'm using my Zoeva 134 brush, and all I'm doing is from the top of the ear, I'm just gonna go just like a little bit in here. I'm pressing really lightly because I want to kind of give that nice sculpting, but I don't want it to look like, oh wow, she's got like loads of contour on. I also want that nice lifted look, so that's why I'm kind of taking it quite high. So I'm pressing in. You can see it's always coming from the top of the ear, and it's quite a small brush. I don't want a big brush. I don't want a full-on kind of sculpting brush. I want quite a small. I love this size, you know, these kind of like size brushes are amazing. So I think I'm happy with that, and that's pretty natural now. Like I've got that nice sculpting, but it isn't obvious. Now, another place I want to put this is just here. So from the end of my brow, I'm going to take this kind of into my hairline. See how like natural this powder is? And the reason I'm doing it in this area is going to help with lifting, to give me that nice lifted look. Actually, just stitch that bit. And then just a little bit around here. I'm going to take that same powder, but my Fenty 200 brush. Just going to create like a little V here, and then go on the sides of the bridge of the nose. Okay, I'm going to take my same Zoeva brush, that 134 brush, and I'm going to go into this is my Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten. I'm just going to add some kind of highlight just along my cheekbones there. This is a really nice subtle highlight. It's not obvious, and I'm just going to take it around just up here a little bit, just to give the face some dimension. I'm going to get a smaller brush. I don't know what this brush is, but it's just very small. It's like a domed kind of brush, and I'll put it a little bit at the tip of my nose. Brows. So I'm going to really push my brows up. So I'm going to get a spoolie, go into my Anastasia Brow Freeze, and I'm really going to kind of like push these up. This is kind of like a process, to be honest. You've got to really, I kind of like really press in because I want to flatten them a little bit. So I've just got my Lime Crime Bushy Brow Pen, and I'm just replicating hairs. Next, I'm going to use a eyeshadow. I'm using a brownish kind of shade, and it's not overly brown because you want that really nice kind of shadow, but not looking like you have loads of eyeshadow on. So I'm using it's the Shiseido Pop Power Gel eyeshadow. This is number 4, which is Sub Beige or Soup Beige. I'm not too sure how you say it. I'm using my Marc Jacobs crease brush. Very lightly put this all over my lid, into my crease. And I want to like kind of drag it upwards and out. This is a really nice color because it's so subtle, you can keep building it up. So it gives you that shadow, but it doesn't look harsh. I'm literally taking this all over my lid and then concentrating on the crease. And then upwards into the temple, but not too far out. Now I'm taking the shade, this is Zoku Brown, number 5, and I'm using my 230 brush from Zoeva. I'm going to go side to side, small movements into my lower lash line. Not below, but into my lash line. Now I'm taking another brush. This is actually a Shiseido brush and it looks so good. And I don't actually know what brush it is because it doesn't have a number on here. But it's a really nice brush. And all I'm doing is just kind of like applying it really close to my lash line at the end here. So from about a quarter of the way in from the end of my lash line, and then taking it out, dragging it out. Do the same on this side. Now I'm gonna curl my lashes. I'm just gonna use my Kevyn Aucoin lash curlers. Now this mascara, I am absolutely loving this mascara. It's the new Byredo mascara and it's in Space Black. And I feel like if you're not wearing lashes, this is like such an amazing mascara. I feel like it gives you that really nice messy lash look and it's not clumpy and it really does give you nice length. Now onto lips, I'm using the NYX pencil in London and I'm just gonna line my lips by feathering it inwards. I'm gonna use my lipstick in Catwalking from Charlotte Tilbury. I've only like pressed a little bit onto my lips. Okay, so now I'm gonna get a pencil. I'm using the Hindash pencil in Intra. You can use any basic brown pencil. Make sure you sharpen it. And I'm just gonna enhance any imperfections that I have on my skin. Okay, now obviously close up that doesn't look right. So what we're gonna do is go over that with my sponge. There's nothing really on this sponge, but it's just sometimes I use it to collect extra kind of concealer or foundation that may be on my skin. Now whatever's left on my brush when I was applying highlighter, I'm just gonna take this kind of like around this area here because it's just going to help to kind of like brighten that area up a bit. I always feel like when you want to get that really nice that skin, that model like skin, what we always do is apply the highlight kind of on areas like this and you know the other areas that I've applied it, but then everywhere else is left pretty matte, which is great because we need that matte kind of like finish there, maybe because of texture or whatever. But if you can, like say if you don't have much texture around this area, usually you wouldn't have that much texture around here, then and you've kind of cleaned up your under eye properly, like the way that I did with your concealer, set it properly, take that powder away. Do you remember that was one of the first things that we did? Because that means that we've got a great base to work on. So now I can go in with a little bit of the highlight and I can just kind of put it here, whereas now my skin doesn't look like, okay, it's matte everywhere other than the obvious areas that you're going to highlight. Now when you go in different kind of like lights, you know that, okay, there's other areas as well, so skin actually looks pretty kind of dewy or, you know, like skin-like. So it's not necessarily just that area there that you can apply it to. Like now I feel like my skin looks like it's like juicy and it has that really nice kind of just model finish to it. So I really do hope that this has kind of like given you a bit more of a kind of insight into how you can do that whole model look. And I really do love this look. It's probably a little bit more time consuming if you do have textured skin, but if you ever want to do create that everyday model look, then I think this is great for you. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you do try out this look, then well done for trying it, and I hope it looks amazing on you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.